There's a brutal truth most people don't want to hear. People rarely disrespect you by accident. More often, they simply respond to the signals you've been sending for years. Not the signals you think you're sending. The real ones. The ones hidden in how you speak when you're nervous. How much you explain yourself. How quickly you break under tension. How badly you want to be liked. How often you hand people proof that you don't fully value yourself. And the cruel part? In a fake world, disrespect does not always arrive as open hostility. Sometimes it looks like being talked over. Sometimes it looks like being forgotten. Sometimes it looks like polite smiles, empty praise, and closed doors. People may not say you look weak. They may not say you're emotionally easy to handle. They may not say they've quietly placed you beneath them. But they act like it. And that's all that matters. In this video, we're going to break down 6 habits that silently train people to respect you less. Not because you're a bad person. Not because you lack value. But because certain behaviors, especially the ones society excuses as harmless, often teach others that you can be ignored, managed, dismissed, or used. And stay with me until the end, because the last habit is the one many ambitious people justify in private. They call it networking. They call it being strategic. They call it how the world works. But in the long run, it destroys something far more valuable than opportunity. Let's get into it. Because if you've ever wondered why people overlook you, interrupt you, patronize you, or seem strangely comfortable taking your presence lightly, this may be the most uncomfortable mirror you need. Not to shame you. To free you. 1. Bragging about yourself. The first habit that makes people respect you less is one that modern culture quietly rewards. Bragging. Not always in obvious ways. Not always loud. Not always arrogant. Sometimes it sounds polished. Sometimes it wears the mask of just being confident. Sometimes it hides behind phrases like, I normally don't talk about this, but. Or, not to brag, but. Or, people always tell me I'm different. But underneath all of it is the same impulse. You want people to feel your value before they've actually experienced it. And that almost never creates respect. It creates suspicion. Real confidence has a strange quality to it. It doesn't rush to be seen. It doesn't force itself into the room. It doesn't beg for witnesses. But insecurity is different. Insecurity feels an urge to announce itself. To decorate itself. To perform certainty because it does not fully feel it. That's why the people who talk the most about power usually have the least of it. The people who constantly sell their importance are often trying to outrun the fear that they are ordinary. And people can feel that, even if they can't explain it. I remember meeting a man at a networking event years ago. Before the conversation had any real shape, he had already told me how much money his business made, who he knew, what luxury hotels he stayed at, what kind of watch he wore, and how everyone in his industry was always asking for his time. He wanted the room to accept his status before the room had seen his substance. And for a few minutes, it almost worked. That's the thing about social theater. It can impress people who are also acting. But the longer he spoke, the more something felt off. When the conversation shifted from image to insight, when people asked real questions, practical questions, questions that required depth instead of performance, he started to collapse. Not dramatically. Quietly. The answers got vague. The confidence turned brittle. The shine wore off. And the most interesting part wasn't him. It was the people in the room who actually had influence. They weren't rushing to advertise themselves. They didn't dominate the air. They didn't need to. They asked good questions. They listened carefully. They let people reveal themselves. That's often how power behaves when it is real. Machiavelli understood something most people still refuse to accept: in public life, image matters, but the image that lasts is the one others confirm, not the one you desperately manufacture yourself. If you have to repeatedly tell people who you are, what you've done, how respected you are, how rare you are, how smart you are, then at some level, even you know your position is unstable. And people feel that instability. The world is full of people trying to control perception. Social media made this worse. Now almost everyone has become their own PR department. Everyone is curating a life. Everyone is posting proof. Everyone is building a highlight reel and calling it identity. But respect is not built the way attention is built. Attention can be bought with noise. Respect cannot. Respect grows when people observe consistency, competence, restraint, emotional control. A person who clearly knows who they are and does not need every room to confirm it. Bragging backfires for a few reasons. First, it exhausts people. No one enjoys a conversation that feels like a performance review of your own greatness. Second, it makes people cautious. When someone tries too hard to impress, others instinctively wonder what they're hiding. Third, it attracts the wrong audience. You may gather people who admire status, but not people who respect character. And fourth, it puts pressure on you. The higher you build your image with words, the more humiliating it becomes if reality doesn't match it. That's why subtle confidence is so much more powerful. Let your work speak first. Let others notice. Let your discipline be visible in what you produce, not in how often you narrate yourself. Because the strongest presence in any room is rarely the person making the most noise. It's the person who could say much more, but doesn't need to. And if this habit hits close to home, don't judge yourself too quickly. A lot of people started bragging because, at some point, they felt invisible. They learned that if they didn't sell themselves, nobody would see them. If they didn't mention their wins, they'd be overlooked. That fear is real. But over time, self-promotion becomes a trap. You stop building substance and start managing impressions. You become dependent on reactions. You chase admiration instead of developing gravity. And once that happens, you may still get attention. But attention without respect is one of the emptiest currencies in the world. Dressing poorly or neglecting grooming. The second habit is one people love pretending doesn't matter. Neglecting your appearance. Now let's be clear. This is not about chasing trends. It's not about luxury brands. It's not about becoming obsessed with vanity or turning your life into a fashion performance. This is about something much simpler. Presentation is a social language. And whether you like it or not, people read it before you say a word. You can call that shallow. You can say the world shouldn't work that way. You can argue that character matters more than clothing. All of that may be true. But it changes nothing. Because human beings make decisions fast. They read discipline through details. They read care through order. They read self-respect through effort. So when someone shows up looking careless, wrinkled clothes, poor hygiene, tired energy, neglected grooming, the sense that nothing has been thought through, people don't just register an outfit. They register a pattern. They wonder. If this person overlooks the obvious, what else do they overlook? If they don't manage themselves, can they manage pressure? If they don't prepare for something simple, will they prepare for something important? That may not be fair. But fairness has very little to do with how first impressions work. I knew a guy who was genuinely smart. Not fake smart. Not internet smart. Actually capable. He had strong ideas. He understood his field deeply. He could solve problems faster than people who were far more polished than him. But he treated his appearance like it was beneath him. He'd show up to meetings in shirts with old stains, hair left wild, shoes that looked like they had given up weeks ago. He had convinced himself that only shallow people cared about presentation, and that serious people would recognize his talent anyway. The problem is, most opportunities don't arrive after a long moral investigation of your inner depth. They begin with a glance. A moment. A room deciding how much certainty to assign to your presence. And in that first moment, he kept losing. Less capable people moved ahead of him. Not always because they were better. Sometimes simply because they looked more prepared, more stable, more intentional. That bothered him. And I understand why. It's painful when you know you have more substance than people who keep passing you. But the world doesn't always reward hidden value. It rewards value that can be trusted at a glance. That's why appearance matters so much beyond vanity. It affects how people listen to you. How seriously they take your ideas. How much confidence they project onto you before you've earned it through words. And strangely enough, it also affects how you feel. When you've taken care of yourself, clean clothes, proper fit, decent grooming, fresh energy, the feeling that you respected the moment before entering it, you don't walk into a room the same way. Your posture changes. Your eye contact changes. Your willingness to engage changes. You stop apologizing for being there. That shift is not superficial. It's psychological. There was a time in my own life when I underestimated this. I thought competence would carry everything. I thought if I was intelligent, if I had something real to say, that would be enough. Then I walked into a room full of people who had clearly prepared for the moment, while I looked like I had treated the moment casually. Nothing dramatic happened. No one insulted me. No one mocked me. But I felt it. The subtle change in how conversations started. The slight hesitation in how people read me. The way I had to work harder to earn seriousness than someone who already looked like they respected themselves. The next time, I adjusted. Not excessively. Just enough to communicate intention. The difference was immediate. People engaged more easily. Conversations flowed with less resistance. Doors didn't automatically open, but they stopped closing before I even spoke. That's the real point here. The world often treats you the way you appear to treat yourself. And yes, there are exceptions. Yes, some brilliant people dress carelessly and still command respect. But those people are usually so extraordinary that they override first impressions with overwhelming value. Most people are not in that category. Most of us live in the real world, where details matter. So dress in a way that communicates discipline. Not performance. Not insecurity. Not status worship. Discipline. Because when your appearance says, "I take myself seriously," people become less comfortable treating you casually. The third habit is one that many people mistake for honesty. Oversharing your personal problems. Now this is delicate, because there's a difference between being real and emotionally leaking on everyone around you. There is strength in vulnerability. There is nothing weak about pain. There is nothing shameful about struggle. But there is a line between opening up and making every interaction carry the weight of your unresolved life. And once that line is crossed too often, people begin to experience you differently. Not as deep. Not as authentic. Not as brave. As draining. This is one of the harshest truths in adult life. Most people care about your pain only up to the point where it starts costing them emotional energy. After that, sympathy fades. Distance begins. Not always because they're cruel. Sometimes because they're tired. Sometimes because they have their own battles. Sometimes because your pattern teaches them that every conversation with you will become heavy, helpless, or one-sided. I once worked with someone who turned every interaction into an emotional spill. At first, people were kind. They listened when he talked about money problems, relationship problems, family problems, disappointment, stress, unfairness, bad luck, lack of support, bad timing, low energy, bad bosses, fake friends, and every small irritation stacked on top of those larger wounds. And to be fair, some of what he said was real. Some of it was painful. Some of it deserved care. But the pattern never changed. Every conversation bent back toward his struggle. Every room became a place for release. Every person became a temporary container for his emotional weight. Over time, something shifted. People stopped asking how he was. Then they stopped lingering near him. Then they started avoiding him altogether. He thought the world had become colder. But what really happened was this. He had trained people to associate his presence with emotional labor. And people retreat from what constantly drains them. This is where the modern world becomes deeply confusing. We are told to be open, be authentic, share your truth, never bottle things up. Some of that advice is useful. Some of it is dangerous when misunderstood. Because not everyone deserves access to your inner life. And not every thought needs an audience. A person with emotional intelligence knows the difference between processing pain and broadcasting pain. Between seeking wise support and unconsciously asking the world to regulate them. That difference matters. Machiavellian social reality makes this even more serious. Because in a competitive world, some people do not merely listen to vulnerability. They inventory it. They note your fears. They study your instability. They learn where you are fragile. And later, subtly, socially, strategically, they use it. Not always in obvious ways. Maybe through gossip. Maybe by lowering their estimation of your strength. Maybe by excluding you from rooms where reliability matters. Maybe by treating your sensitivity as leverage. This is why boundaries are not cold. They are intelligent. You do not need to become emotionally shut down. You do not need to pretend life never hurts. You do not need to suffer in total silence to be respected. But you do need discernment. Ask yourself, am I sharing to build connection? Or am I sharing because I cannot contain my own emotional pressure? Am I opening up to someone who has earned trust? Or am I turning whoever is nearby into a witness? Am I discussing the issue? Or am I simply reliving it out loud? That distinction is everything. Discussing is grounded. It invites perspective. It allows reflection. It leaves room for the other person. Venting, when repeated too often, becomes emotional dumping. And emotional dumping quietly lowers how people experience your presence. Some of the most respected people you will ever meet are not those who never struggle. They are the ones who know where to place their struggle. They don't make every interaction orbit their wounds. They don't ask random rooms to carry what should be handled in private, with trusted people, or through inner discipline. I learned this slowly. There were periods in life when I was carrying more than I knew how to process, and it was tempting to let pieces of that spill everywhere. A conversation here. A complaint there. A little too much truth in the wrong environment, with the wrong person, at the wrong time. And each time, the relief was temporary. But the cost lingered. You cannot always control what you feel. But you can control where you place it. That's power. And the irony is, the more selective you are with your vulnerability, the more meaningful it becomes when you do share. People feel honored by it instead of burdened by it. They respect the restraint behind it. They sense that you are not collapsing in front of them, you are trusting them. That changes everything. Because people respect those who carry hardship with dignity. Not because pain should be hidden. But because composure signals inner structure. And in a chaotic world, inner structure is rare. 4. Being overly emotional in conflicts. The fourth habit is one that destroys authority almost instantly. Losing control of your emotions in conflict. This is where many people confuse intensity with strength. They think if they raise their voice, react quickly, cry openly, attack sharply, or defend themselves passionately enough, others will finally understand how serious they are. But most of the time, emotional reactivity does not increase your power. It advertises that someone else can control your state. And once people see that, the balance changes. In every conflict, there are usually two conversations happening at once. The first is about the issue itself. The second is about who has emotional control. The second conversation often decides the first. I once worked with a woman who was intelligent, capable, and often right. That's important to say, because this is not a story about someone foolish. In fact, many emotionally reactive people are not lacking intelligence. They are lacking containment. Whenever a disagreement happened, she would escalate immediately. Her voice rose. Her face tightened. Her words became personal. If she felt unheard, she would cut people off. If she felt challenged, she would turn the moment into a fight for emotional survival rather than clarity. And at first, people were patient. They gave her room. They tried to see past the delivery and hear the substance. But over time, something happened that she didn't notice. People stopped separating her message from her instability. Even when she had a valid point, they no longer trusted her to deliver it with enough control to make it usable. Her truth became contaminated by her reaction. That is one of the cruel rules of social life. If you present your truth through chaos, people often reject the truth to escape the chaos. This doesn't mean emotions are weakness. It means unmanaged emotions become a weapon against you. The calm person in conflict is dangerous for a reason. They can think while others leak. They can observe while others react. They can choose their timing while others burn theirs away in the first 30 seconds. Machiavelli would recognize this immediately. The person who can be provoked can be guided. The person who reacts on command is not in control of the moment, no matter how righteous they feel. And that's exactly why manipulative people love emotional targets. They don't even need to defeat you logically. They only need to get you to overreact. Once you do, the room starts working against you. The discussion shifts away from what happened. Now it's about your tone. Your outburst. Your instability. Your inability to handle things professionally. And maybe that feels unfair. Maybe they pushed you there. Maybe they were disrespectful first. That may all be true. But the world often remembers the reaction more clearly than the cause. So what do you do instead? You pause. Not because you are weak. Because you understand that reaction is expensive. You take a breath. You slow the moment down. You ask yourself, what outcome do I actually want here? Do I want release? Or do I want leverage? Those are usually not the same thing. A calmer response does not mean you become passive. It means you stop offering your nervous system as a public spectacle. You move from emotional accusation to observable fact. Instead of saying, "You always disrespect me," you say, "In our last 3 meetings, I was interrupted multiple times. I want to address that directly." Notice the difference. One invites a battle over feelings. The other anchors the conversation in reality. And people respect reality more than emotional weather. Body language matters here too. A lot of people think they are staying calm because their voice is quieter, but their face, posture, and gestures are shouting panic. Clenched fists. Folded arms. Rolling eyes. Tight jaw. Sudden movements. Defensive posture. Your body can betray your state before your words do. So if you want authority in conflict, regulate the full picture. Steady eye contact. Measured tone. Open posture. Minimal but deliberate words. You are not trying to win a performance. You are trying to maintain command of yourself. That is what people remember. And yes, after the conflict, feel what you feel. Go for a walk. Write it down. Speak to someone you trust. Lift the emotional weight in private if you need to. But in the moment, composure is power. Because the loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. The strongest is the one who refuses to be emotionally conscripted into someone else's chaos. 5. giving up too easily. The fifth habit that makes people respect you less is simpler than people think. You quit too quickly. Not always publicly. Not always dramatically. Sometimes it looks like starting strong and disappearing quietly. Sometimes it looks like a new goal every month. A new identity every season. A new plan every time the old one becomes uncomfortable. And at first, people may still encourage you. They may still believe you. They may still take your excitement seriously. But after enough unfinished attempts, something changes. They stop investing faith in your words. Because words without follow-through eventually teach people that your intention means very little. I had a friend in college who was full of ambition. Every time we talked, he had a new direction. He was going to build a channel. Then he posted twice and disappeared. He said the algorithm was broken. Then he got into trading. After one loss, he called the market rigged. Then fitness. 2 weeks later, he was too busy. Then business. Then another idea. Then another reinvention. Always intense at the beginning. Always convincing in the first conversation. Always gone when things became repetitive, slow, or difficult. At first, people admired his energy. Eventually, they stopped taking him seriously. Not because he lacked dreams. Because he lacked endurance. This is one of the easiest ways to lose respect in adult life. Not by failing. Failure itself is not the issue. It's the pattern of retreat. The pattern of disappearing the moment reality stops feeding your fantasy. Because resilience is not built in the exciting part. It is built in the boring middle. The silent stretch where nobody cares, nobody claps, nothing feels glamorous, and progress is too small to impress anyone. That's the stretch where character is exposed. A lot of people love the identity of being ambitious. Very few love the cost of becoming reliable. And people notice that difference. They notice who stays when things stop being flattering. Who keeps going when results are late. Who can carry discomfort without turning it into an excuse. That's where respect begins. Now to be clear, not every ending is weakness. Sometimes walking away is wisdom. Sometimes leaving a toxic relationship is self-respect. Sometimes changing direction is maturity. Sometimes a strategy truly needs to die so a better one can live. But there is a difference between strategic withdrawal and emotional surrender. One comes from judgment. The other comes from low tolerance for friction. And if you give up every time friction appears, people start to see you as unstable under pressure. Not necessarily bad. Not necessarily incapable. Just not dependable. And dependability is one of the deepest foundations of respect. Because when someone knows you will still be there after the mood changes, after the first setback, after the excitement fades, after things become inconvenient, that person begins to carry weight. That person becomes real. This habit also damages something even more important than how others see you. It damages how you see yourself. Every time you repeatedly quit on your own commitments, you send yourself a private message. I am not someone who follows through. Do that long enough, and self-doubt no longer feels like an emotion. It starts feeling like identity. You begin to hesitate before even starting. You stop trusting your own motivation. You hear yourself making promises and some part of you no longer believes them. That erosion is devastating. Because once you lose trust in your own word, the world can feel hostile even when it isn't. You start feeling overlooked, unsupported, underestimated, but beneath all of that is a quieter truth. You know you've abandoned yourself too many times. And other people can feel that even if it's never spoken. So if this is your pattern, don't make the mistake of trying to become impressive overnight. That's usually just another version of the same cycle. Become consistent instead. Small promises. Kept repeatedly. One commitment you stay with long enough to become boring. One discipline you do when nobody is watching. One standard you stop negotiating with every time your mood changes. Because people admire talent. But they trust endurance. And trust lasts longer than admiration. The sixth habit is the one many people secretly excuse because the world keeps rewarding it in the short term. Using people for personal gain. Almost everyone has met this kind of person. They suddenly become warm when they need access. They become attentive when you have value. They remember your name when you have influence. They are generous with praise right before a favor. They speak the language of connection, but everything in them is measuring utility. And the worst part? Sometimes they're very good at it. They know how to seem genuine. They know how to dress self-interest in charm. They know how to call manipulation strategy. They know how to turn relationships into transactions without ever saying it directly. We've all seen it. And if we're honest, many of us have done some version of it too. Maybe not in a sinister way. Maybe not with bad intentions. But enough to know the temptation. You meet someone who has something you need, a connection, an audience, an opportunity, information, a door you can't open alone, and part of your mind starts calculating. You justify it. You say you'll return the favor later. You say this is just how adult life works. You say everyone networks. Everyone leverages. Everyone plays the game. Maybe. But there's a difference between building mutual value and treating people like tools. And people can feel the difference. That's what many ambitious people don't understand soon enough. They think respect is built through effectiveness alone. Get results. Build contacts. Make moves. Stay useful. Stay sharp. Stay strategic. But a life built only on utility becomes spiritually hollow very quickly. I've been around people who could enter a room and instantly assess who mattered, who was connected, who was worth speaking to, who could be ignored. You could almost see the machinery turning behind their smile. If you had something to offer, they were engaged. If you didn't, they were gone. At first, this can look like social intelligence. Later, it reveals itself as poverty of character. Because the moment people realize you are only present for extraction, something collapses. Not always publicly. Often silently. They stop trusting your warmth. They stop believing your praise. They stop relaxing around you. Even if they continue interacting, the interaction becomes guarded. And once trust becomes guarded, respect begins to die. This is where Machiavellian thinking must be handled carefully. There is a shallow version of Machiavelli that insecure people love. It tells them to manipulate first, stay cold, use everyone before they use you, never be naive, never give without calculating return. That version is seductive because it feels like protection. But in the long run, it creates isolation. Because a person who only knows how to calculate value becomes incapable of receiving genuine loyalty. They can attract deals, favors, surface alliances, temporary usefulness, but not deep trust. And deep trust is worth more than most people realize. The Stoics understood that a good life is not built through endless extraction. It is built through character, contribution, justice, restraint. The ability to treat people as human beings, not stepping stones. That doesn't mean you become naive. It doesn't mean you ignore self-interest. It doesn't mean you let manipulative people exploit your kindness. It means you stop approaching every relationship with hidden hunger. Because hidden hunger always leaks. You can hear it in the tone. Feel it in the timing. See it in the selective attention. Notice it in how someone disappears when there is nothing left to gain. I had to learn this in uncomfortable ways. There were moments in life when I convinced myself I was just being practical, just being efficient, just doing what ambitious people do. But every time I approached someone mainly for what they could unlock for me, even if I behaved politely, something in the interaction felt thin. I might gain something. A connection. A shortcut. A temporary advantage. But I didn't leave with peace. And often, I didn't leave with respect either. Because people know when your kindness is conditional. And nothing poisons human connection faster than conditional warmth. Over time, this habit creates a very specific kind of loneliness. You may know many people, but very few truly know you. You may have access, but no real belonging. You may have names in your phone, but no one who would stand beside you without being offered something first. That is a terrible trade. So yes, be strategic. Yes, understand power. Yes, learn how the social world actually works. But do not become so transactional that your humanity disappears behind your ambition. Give without always calculating return. Show up when there is nothing obvious in it for you. Treat people with dignity even when they cannot accelerate your life. That is rare. And rarity creates respect. Because in a world where so many relationships are fake, manipulative, and quietly transactional, authenticity becomes a form of authority. Not soft authority. Real authority. The kind people feel. What these habits really reveal. Now if you step back, all 6 of these habits may look different on the surface. Bragging. Neglecting your appearance. Oversharing. Emotional reactivity. Quitting too easily. Using people. Different behaviors. Different contexts. Different consequences. But underneath them, they all reveal the same thing. A lack of inner command. That is the real issue. People do not only disrespect behavior. They react to what the behavior signals. Bragging signals insecurity. Neglecting yourself signals low standards. Oversharing signals weak boundaries. Emotional reactivity signals poor self-command. Quitting signals low endurance. Using people signals emptiness disguised as ambition. And once those signals repeat often enough, people adjust how they treat you. Again, not always cruelly. Not always consciously. But unmistakably. This is why respect is never just about image. It is about structure. The internal structure of a person. Their ability to hold themselves. To regulate themselves. To restrain themselves. To carry discomfort without leaking chaos into every interaction. That kind of person feels different. They don't need to dominate the room. They don't need to beg for attention. They don't need to over-explain their value. They don't need to manipulate everyone around them. Their presence already communicates something solid. This person has authority over themselves. And once that is felt, people become more careful in how they treat you. Not because you demanded it. Because you embodied it. If any of these habits felt uncomfortably familiar, don't use that as a reason to judge yourself. Use it as a reason to become more precise. Most of us picked up these behaviors while trying to survive something. Bragging often begins where invisibility once hurt. Oversharing often begins where loneliness grew too heavy. Reactivity often begins where dignity has been violated too many times. Quitting often begins where disappointment taught you to protect yourself early. Using people often begins where the world convinced you that only the ruthless get ahead. So this is not about pretending you were weak. It's about becoming more conscious of what your coping strategies are costing you now. Because the truth is, many habits that once protected you eventually start diminishing you. And adulthood requires the courage to update them. The world we live in is full of polished deception. Fake confidence. Fake warmth. Fake empathy. Fake power. Fake status. A lot of people are performing strength while collapsing in private. So if you want something deeper than attention, if you want respect that lasts, you have to become quieter, clearer, more disciplined, more deliberate, more difficult to destabilize. Not colder. Not harder for the sake of hardness. Stronger in a way that feels clean. Because real authority is not loud. It doesn't need a costume. It doesn't need to chase witnesses. It is felt in the details. In the restraint. In the standards. In the way you carry yourself when no one is applauding. That's where respect begins. Not in demanding that the world see your value, but in removing the habits that taught the world to miss it. If this gave you something real to think about, let me know in the comments. Which of these 6 habits do you think causes the most damage in adult life, and why? If there's one that you've had to unlearn personally, share that too. A lot of people reading won't need another perfect answer. They'll need honesty. And if you want more videos like this, deeper, sharper, and grounded in stoic clarity for the modern world, subscribe and stay close. Because in a culture built on noise, emotional leakage, and performance, calm self-command is becoming a rare kind of power. And rare things are noticed.